To say that the Force works in mysterious ways is to admit one's ignorance. For any mystery can be solved through the application of knowledge and unrelenting effort. To be strong in the Force is one thing, but to believe oneself to be all-powerful is to invite catastrophe. Remember that even in the ethereal realm we inhabit, the unforeseen can occur.
Welcome to Monad of Creation, episode 29. This episode is unplanned, yet entirely necessary. So, thus far, with the Monad of Creation podcast, I've put a strong emphasis on self-responsibility, self-healing, self-remembrance, self-fulfillment, self-actualization, self-this, self-that, and depending on who you are, you're going to interpret that plethora of different ways. And for the most part, I've been addressing people who don't think they're New Age, but they act New Age. I've been addressing people who are truthers and very frantic, and can't seem to ground themselves in reality with joy, awe, and wonder, and continual evolution. All these sorts of things, you know. And then anyone who's actually just piques interest, and I have no idea who you are. I don't know who listens to the show, truly. But something that I felt another obligation to talk about is unity, sovereign unification, and dealing and working with external modalities. So, dealing and working with external modalities. Interesting, right? And it's interesting because I've talked about the importance of self-healing, self-responsibility, self-remembrance, all these things that are truly on you to do. But I don't want it to sound like I'm saying that any extra supplemental assistance from anything outside of you is bad, is a no-no. Because I think what people may be failing to realize with my show, if they're not able to perceive what I'm saying accurately, is that, you know, community and knowing others at times is what truly helps people. So that can look like a plethora of things, honestly, you know. At the end of the day, once you're actually transcended enough, you do not need any external assistance at all, okay? But let's be honest, at certain points of people's growth, my growth, there were times where I really valued and grew from the external assistance, whether it looked like advice from a new friend or a podcast I was listening to or a book I was reading. But I always knew that there had to come a point where I could throw all of that in the trash and set it on fire and walk away from it and never need it again. So that is the goal. And then once you get to that point where you don't need any external assistance, you should be able to engage with others still. You should be able to engage with the world, with other individuals. Whether they're sovereign or not. If they're not sovereign and they're like feeding and just being a little frantic or something, and maybe they're actually innocent and nice, you should be able to engage with them. Doesn't mean you have to be friends with them and like associate with them all the time. And then if they're just also a sovereign individual, transcended, actualized self, or self-fulfilled, yeah, you should be able to engage with them too. But like there's this process of going from, you know, seeking, needing externals, then transcending a bit, hermit mode. You come back and it's like merging the both realms of only relying on yourself and then merging the realm of looking at everything else around you all the time. So, you know, I'm not saying that you don't need human connection. I'm not saying you don't need human interaction, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm saying sometimes you need to cut off to all human interaction. Sometimes, most of it. personal, close, intimate human interaction. Go within and get out there somewhere, whether it's in a dark room or a trip in the mountains or to the beach. I don't care. Sometimes you do need to remove the human energies all around you, okay? But I'm not saying to totally disregard any sort of truly holistic, non-parasitic assistance that you might think is valuable on your path, okay? So, things I'm not talking about and things I'm not advocating, alright? I think it's very clear. I'm not advocating external saviors or messiahs. I'm not advocating or promoting external energetic healing modalities such as Reiki, ascension guides, ascension gurus, experts of any sort, because any human incarnate still has a lot to learn. And anyone who's saying they're an expert and not admitting and also talking about their downfalls and what they do have to learn, and how much they do have to learn, and how vast reality is. Yeah, I'm not advocating gurus or experts. I'm not advocating being obsessed with books. You don't need all the books, okay? Books and external knowledge, yeah. Guess what? It's a great supplement. It's a great research thing. It's a great thing to mirror back things within yourself, knowledge within yourself. Books are great for knowledge, but dependency on books is not what I'm advocating. Dependency on your ancient texts. Dependency on your self-help books. Dependency on your interesting theoretical perspective books. If you're dependent on that, depending, okay, that's a problem. I don't consider, when you're in the seeking process, reading as much as you desire and seeking and learning holistically, I don't consider it dependence. I consider that a conscious choice to seek, as long as you keep it within yourself, knowing that ultimately it's a signpost back to yourself and reality. It's a signpost back to what's within you and all around you. A signpost back to what's within you and all around you. Okay? Don't advocate dependency on the ancient texts or the current texts or any texts of that sort. Same goes for any sort of other external knowledge. Never become dependent on it. You should be able to be thrown in some environment and just be up to your own devices and perceptions. So dependency is bad. The use of and assistance from healthily is great, of books and external knowledge. Needing friends, needing other individuals, needing anyone else for feeling good, for feeling fulfilled, it's not the best, because it might sound hardcore, but when you're needing others all the time, you're needing them. You're needing this, you're needing that. Well, you're lacking something that you can't consciously provide on your own. And no, I'm not talking about people who may be disabled or people who have physical ailments and need assistance from others. I'm talking about in the realm of thought, the realm of energy control, energy mastery, yourself. Your thoughts. The core aspects of your mind. Your being, your core. Okay, so needing others for that type of mental support, mental clarity, emotional support, emotional clarity, transcendent support, transcendence, clarity, needing others, feeding off others. Yeah, that's what it is. You don't need that if you're actually diligently trying to better yourself. And this brings me, I know I'm skimming over this because this episode is very just off the cuff and I needed to get it out. This brings me to the next part, okay? So you don't need others, right? So how could you have a community? Well, the problem with communities, Mr. Podcast Man, how could you have a community if no one needs each other? Or how can you have a community if no one is reliant on each other? for stability within themselves. Well, my friend, those communities that need those components within their communities, those communities that need to function in that manner, where everyone is dependent on each other. Well, do you see where I'm going with this? Everyone is constantly needing each other and lacking something. Well, they're codependent. And if you know anything about relationship dynamics or group dynamics, codependency is, I'll just say this. It's, from my perspective, from my point of view, and my experiential knowing, it's not good whatsoever. And, to me, true communities are ones where people can interact in total detachment with each other and continue interacting with respect for one another, respect for themselves, and just totally flow in and out of conversation, flow in and out of interaction, flow decisively with choice and respect for everyone involved and themselves continually. So when people are needing each other for emotional and mental support all the time, it's like it works sometimes, I'll be honest, okay? There are a lot of communities who do this, but when things go bad, they're typically going bad because of these energetic, unseen leashes, ties, and cords and bonds, attachments that people are forming. So when something flares up, it's just an entire nasty bomb of dissonant energy that no one really truly benefits from, and hopefully they're going to learn from the mistake of holding each other so closely as to make attachments to each other, and dependency to each other. So sovereign unification, sovereign, one reign, rulership of self, rulership of your being, hopefully in alignment with the great nothing, the unalterable one, which is everything, hopefully in alignment with purity and alignment with actual virtues and principles, okay? But story for another day. Sovereign unification, unifying individuals, unifying, different units, different individuated units, unifying them into a community. And, for instance, I actually started one on the Discord for my eternal family who truly deserve the space based off of my experience with them and interaction, and the Patreon supporters and some of the contributors to the efforts here. And, it could be viewed as shield building or whatever, but honestly, it's just a collection of individuals who have similar principles, embodiments, and ideas and ideals for life and living. And, I'm giving one example where just collecting people who I could tell are truly actually seeking self-sovereignty and mutual respect for all individuation, all individuated units of creation, reality. And so it's interesting to see that those things develop over time. And to see these things develop over time, and the only times things could go wrong is if nonsense manifests. I don't even go into that. But, really, people don't rely and feed off each other, and then, and I'm not even talking about the communities I am in or have known of anymore. I'm not at all. I'm talking about the dynamics. Back to dynamics, okay? So people are not feeding or relying off each other for energy or emotional stability or anything of the sort, okay? They are truly self-sustaining within their energy, within their emotions, within their clarity, within their thoughts, okay? And then from there, dude, it downsteps, okay? Those things downstep. If you're still listening to the show and you're in disbelief of thoughts downstepping into the manifested physical reality, it's a reality that is very, very real and true from a certain point of view, and it takes some time to get to the level of perception where that is the case and that is abundantly clear. And it takes a lot of experiential knowing and experiential knowledge and perceiving accurately and holistically to see that thoughts and how people are acting and feeling within themselves and how clear they're thinking and how empathetically they're feeling. Having pragmatism and love, both of those components, transcend into a holistic intelligence. Yeah, if a bunch of individuals are doing that, those communities will be healthy communities, okay? But if the communities are just frantically lacking and feeding and seeking things and feeding off things, well, okay, it's not going to be the best thing ever. You could look at a church, you could look at, talking about, satanic church and a Christian church, a mosque, all of it. You could look at like a video game co-op. You could look at, anything really. Let's say sports club, okay? Anything, any dynamic. All reality is imbued with spirit. So there's no reason to delineate and separate spiritual and non-spiritual things because we're all in human bodies and on Earth. So anyway, no matter what ideas are happening, no matter what the context is of the community, no matter what the foundation is of the community, if the community is not operating in a space of respecting each other's space, respecting each other's individuation, respecting each other's uniqueness, and not latching and feeding off each other, well, then those times are great for interaction with other people, interaction and assistance with other people, And the reason I haven't talked about this is because I thought that was evidently clear, but apparently I think the ideas are being misconstrued as in you don't need anyone ever, and it's just you and that's all. And it's complicated, man, because I will still say you don't need anyone. But do you know what? Human connection is not needing people, okay? So I'll give you perspective. When I go out into the world, into reality, or I go out and do things with people I know, I would never say I need them. I would never say I need the time I spend with them. I would never say I need this, need that about this person, this group of people, okay? But I will say this. I entirely value and know the importance of the human connection, the connection with these beings that really reminds me of, just the true natures and familial type of creatures, of beings that we are, that humans are. And it not only reminds me of it, but I feel it, just it rekindles this sense of planet Earth and custodianship of the planet and each other and holding each other accountable too. Because once you start meeting, actual people who strive for individuality, sovereign living, and abundance and evolution, continual evolution, well, once you're within a group of beings who all value those things, there's not much loosh, there's not much feeding, there's not much energetic cords being made, there's not the shields you're building with these people, the connections, the relationships, the experiences you're having with these people. Yeah, they're not toxic, no one's above anyone, there's mutual respect for everybody. And the second there's not, well, whoever's causing that nonsense, they're going to be looked at with, a cunning, clear, intuitive, heartfelt eye and say, what's up? What are you doing? What's wrong? What's this dissonance here? Because we don't do that. So the reason humans often get triggered into not wanting to have connection with others or friends and families, because they've seen how utterly unreliable most communities are, how utterly unreliable and inconsistent and dissonant and nasty most communities are. Most communities, most groups comprising of set worldviews, and I might come back to this topic But honestly, once you see the importance of human interaction and the importance of not being dependent on other human beings, other beings of any sort, but both of those, no dependency on humans for your emotional and mental clarity and stability, and then no dependency for emotional and mental clarity and stability, and also valuing the time, valuing connection, valuing, these experiences. This is a short one. I do have to go. I unconditionally love you, and if it hasn't seemed so, maybe take a nap, take a walk, and respect yourself a little better with, maybe chilling out a little more. That's it. Later. Check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube, check out all the things. Do what must be done.